Hey everyone, it's Eric Chabot here, and I'm the director of a couple apologetic ministries here in Columbus, Ohio. One at The Ohio State University and one at Columbus State Community College. I blog at thinkapologetics.com. Some of you have seen our YouTube clips here where I interview guests and also do some of my recordings of my own materials. I just want to talk a little bit about a book I'm reading right now called Enjoying the Old Testament, A Creative Guide to Encountering Scripture by Eric Seibert. This is a relevant book because, as the author says, a lot of Christians have a hard time getting interested in the Old Testament, whether it be that they've just always prioritized the New Testament and just talked about Jesus all the time, or they just simply have never even studied the Old Testament. Part of the problem is that, we separate the testaments to begin with, and we sometimes make one more authoritative or important than the other. I'm not saying all Christians do this. I'm just saying sometimes it's just given a higher priority because, of course, with Jesus coming, he's talked about in the New Testament. He's teaching in the New Testament. Of course, he's talked about in the Old Testament, but a lot of Christians just don't know what to do with the Old Testament. Now, remember, the Jewish people do not call it the Old Testament. They call it the Tanakh. And part of the problem is when we call it Old Testament, sometimes that creates a mindset that it's an inferior set of books compared to the New Testament. It's like less than or inferior and just not that important. And that's a real problem because when Jesus came, there was no New Testament. And when Paul came, there was no New Testament. When Paul was doing his ministry, there was no New Testament. Now, they were starting to write some things, but of course they didn't walk around and open up the New Testament. It wasn't put together in the sense of being canonized or anything. And remember when Paul says in 2 Timothy 3:16 that all scripture is inspired by God, profitable for reproof, correction, and teaching righteousness. He's talking about the Tanakh. He's not talking about the New Testament at the time because the New Testament hadn't been written. Now, of course, the New Testament is inspired and authoritative just as much as the Tanakh. But the point is that just remember that they didn't have a functioning New Testament when they're writing that. So, one thing to think about is the books in the Tanakh, or the Old Testament, as much as I don't like to say that, are the books that Jesus was raised on and the books the apostles were raised on. The Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, and the prophets and the writings. Those are the things they read. Those are the things they memorized. Now, I do know it can be hard to understand some of the things in the Tanakh. You've got the so-called violent passages where God's supposedly judging the Canaanites. There's all those genocidal passages that people complain about, but there's been a lot of good resources on that topic that have come out, how to answer those objections. I know we have it seems like these laws that are so tedious and just hard to understand, the way Israel was set up as a theocracy in a relationship with God, and he was concerned about their sanctification, and it seems like he gave them all these laws to follow that just seem so irrelevant to us. But just remember that all scripture is inspired by God, and, we can't just ditch the entire Tanakh. Now, I'm not saying anyone's doing that. I'm just saying we need to learn how to at least, enjoy, enjoy the Tanakh, enjoy the Old Testament. Now, Seibert gives us some tips in here. I can't go over all of them, but, there have been a lot of people that have put in the work to try to understand the Old Testament and try to enjoy it, and it can be done. So I just want to encourage you to start somewhere, whether you read the prophets or whether you read books in the Torah, whatever it is, but just try not to make this huge separation between both testaments. Now, some scholars are calling it the First Testament now, not even Old Testament, like the Second Testament is the New Testament, the First Testament is the Old Testament, because this terminology of Old Testament has just become a huge problem. And remember Marcion. Marcion was someone that got excommunicated by the church. He was a heretic. He thought that there were 2 different gods, that the God of the Old Testament was this evil God, and then the God of the New Testament was a different God. And so he made a huge separation there. And, when I was a new Christian, some people said to me, well, the God of the Old Testament was always judging, and the New Testament God, he's totally different. So once again, Marcionism lives on today. So hopefully we can take some tips from this book. Maybe you can get it, Enjoying the Old Testament by Seibert, and learn how to get into the Tanakh, the books that Jesus was raised on, the books Paul were raised on, and the apostles. And remember one last thing. The Tanakh is just not about Jesus. You know, some people look for Jesus everywhere in the Tanakh or the Old Testament, and he's not. You know, there's other things that the Tanakh is about other than Jesus, okay? So it's not that we shouldn't care about Jesus and where to see him in the Tanakh, but remember there's much more to the Tanakh than simply looking for passages about Jesus, okay? So I just want to mention those things, and hopefully, you know, you can be motivated to learn about the Tanakh and try not to make a huge separation between both the Testaments. Have a good day.